There's a teeny tiny opening at the pivot point between constraint and freedom. One has to be super alert to jump into it. Sometimes it's just a millisecond, but if I can get into that space, I'm free to choose the glass of water over the cookie, or the cookie over the water. I can choose to calm down or rage on, obey or violate the law, hit send or cool the angry email in my draft folder. It's just one cookie. I can start tomorrow. I could knock over that statue right now, or not. If I can get inside that millisecond before action, a door opens to possibility, to love. Right in that emptiness, if I stop for it, there's a glimpse at the immaterial whence freedom radiates. I'm free at the same time as I'm determined. I can abandon a habit and start to practice sensing sweet freedom instead. Each time I reach for a poison, there's an opportunity to taste awareness instead. Choice waits for all of us. Schrodinger's cat is neither dead nor alive, both dead and alive, and neither dead or alive. This is an eternal empty space that I may enter. Find choice, even for a second, and then act. Both freedom and responsibility will follow. In the 2020 pandemic, we learned the phrase flatten the curve. Here, we can learn the phrase widen the bus. In computers, a bus is a shuttle between processors. The wider the bus, the faster, bigger, better the transport, because more data, passengers, can move through the double doors at the same time. Bad habit is a thoughtless step, a habitual drink, a shady deal, gluttony, gossip, spreading half-truths, wasting time, entertaining fear. A bad habit is a narrowing of the bus doors. We can widen the bus doors if we practice the pause. In a millisecond, you can spot freedom. This gives you access to higher power. The AA requirement that the addict admit that there is a higher power is a bus widening technique to promote the desired choice. Freedom occurs in this admission of awareness. But one must be vigilant to sense it. It's hard to remember that it's this simple. We seem to like our bad habits. Often we prefer them. Awareness of awareness is infinitesimal, slippery, and subject to disappearance. It hides. It's a challenge to ride the wild horses of freedom, for they gallop in the powerful mystery of silence. We need consciously to learn to interact with the inner planes of our existence. The entrance way is to drop down from mind to the body. Freedom lurks between our cells. If, on the other hand, I do not stop and drop, there's no access to silence and freedom. I found a phrase that works for me. God-light. The phrase came to me one day while seeking freedom. God-light. It's a feeling like an egg breaking in my crown chakra and dripping down inside my skull. I merge with freedom. When I remember to say God-light to myself, I stop thinking. Constriction drops. Something cracks open, and I find choice. I let go. Then I can act. In God-light, it seems less that I'm making a choice than that a choice emerges from the encompassing immateriality. I have access to what works, access to possibility, and later I might say, it was the thing to do, or I had to do it. Lit by God-light, I'm at my best, open to truth rather than to habit. You know you can find freedom because you've done it 1,000 times. It's a place without limiting views and limited actions. This opens portals to subtler reality. Get your own word if God-light doesn't work for you. Ramana Maharshi said to say to yourself, I am. And Presto! You are in the mystery. A Christian might say, grace. A meditation guide might instruct you to do a body scan. God might say, be still and know that I am God. But does God light, or whatever your phrase, work like magic? No. Each time you seek to use it, you must put yourself in an equivalent position of wonder as you were when your open sesame phrase came and opened you. The word is not a command. God will not obey your orders. I don't snap my fingers, say God light, and expect to feel free. I need subtly to flirt with possibility, to enter into the space where God light shines. It's God light. It won't necessarily find me. I am to find it. You feel it out with your inner organ of faith. You can reach the fecundity of being human. Awareness of possibility produces harmony. Contempt crumbles. Doubt dissolves. Fear flees. Freedom, this freedom, is the antidote to entropy. Decisions that flow from freedom will not be decisions to protect ego and increase separation. From freedom comes progress toward a communion on earth. Action that comes from freedom will be optimal, not dissonant, not entropic, not contemptuous of any era on earth in our march toward vision. From this ever-present field of faith, we may find that the universe cooperates with us in the coincidence that we call synchronicity. Meaning seems to pour in. We've opened to the divine. Freedom is something you do. It's a feeling without a drag, push, or a pull. It's love. Each of us knows its buoyancy and refreshment. Scientists, philosophers, and gurus stumble to answer the eternal question of, do we have free will? I say, wrong question. You don't have free will, but you can find it, and you can act from within it. Freedom is an action in a context of love. In Le Petit Prince, it's written, all men have the stars, but they are not the same for everyone. You will have the stars as no one else has them. There is the material world on the one channel, and there's how you experience the material world on another channel. Both channels are available at all times. Saint-Exupéry wrote of and from the immaterial. Something about these stars, if we stop an instant to gaze at them, nudges us into awareness and releases us from constraint. A space in us is created as we look out into space. That space is freedom. Each one of us is a little prince inside it. The Elon Musk in us drives right up to and through them. In his autobiography, Claude Lévi-Strauss details his life as a researcher who read hundreds of small print fat books and traveled all over the globe in search of how humans work. But on the last page of Tristes Tropiques, he confesses that he learns the most at home, at night, on the floor, when he looks into his cat's eyes. He enters. Jordan Peterson said, more matter-of-factly, we have a relationship to the infinite. We don't know what that means, but the infinite is there, and we're here too, and so there's a relationship. For millennia, we humans talk about God, and we talk to God. Ancient Hindu worded these coupled realities with the Sanskrit sarguna and nirguna. All physical manifestations of God are sarguna, which is gods depicted in material form. But God is nirguna, the true God that cannot be depicted, talked about, or named. How could language surround or point to God? God is everything and the origin of everything, and at the same time God seems to act in many separate guises. And we stuff infinite everything into a thing, a being, and we name it, iconize it, we ritualize it, and we talk to it. Islam outlaws this temptation. No one can draw even the prophet, let alone God. Proper spelling in English echoes this divide, for we use a capital G for God and a small one for gods. This capital letter doesn't mean that God is big and we're small. When we find big God, we are one. Obedience to this spelling rule is not a little girl acquiescence. It acknowledges the hallowed truth of mystery. The G's, big and little, jump gleefully into the chasm of paradox. We have no ability to talk about what's most compelling to talk about, but faith pulls us into a feeling of truth. If there were to come a time on earth when each human creature operates from true freedom, then we may not need rules. This is the vision of Kropotkin's dream of true anarchy. True anarchy is born not from relaxed social liberties, but from inner freedom of each in the all. It's not the loosening of social rules, it's the growth of the human heart in freedom in the field of love, and then we would unite. The kind of anarchism recently on the streets is not this. It is a loosening of the soil of order in favor of chaos. True anarchism is peace. Each heart blossoms peace. The connection needed inside each of us is as close to us as our breath. It is our innermost. We just have to pause to get to it. It's right there, but we easily overlook it. Matthew 6:6 tells us that when we pray, we are to go to our room. He means for us to go to that place inside where only you can go. It's a room where you hide your thoughts. God will be there, knowing, seeing, maybe talking. When we really hear the words, "Be still and know that I am God," they come from that room. And do I have to keep going to my room, or can I stay there? The devil in the Screwtape Letters says that we're amphibian, as in part water, part land. Can I get a permanent residency on the land by a super act of will that plops me over once and for all to the land forever in my room? Is there a switch I can flip? Can I get certified and have a diploma? Corral me in the good? Do I do it alone? Or does grace come to my aid? If freedom were a state or were permanent, it would be like amber and we would be suspended in it. If free will were permanent, it would be a fact, a condition, a state. But freedom is the discovery and rediscovery of openness. Freedom is an action. The more we exercise it, the more we build a spiritual bicep. A strong bicep will lift doubt. Free will needs devotion. You find and do freedom, but it always needs reclaiming. You can change, conditions change, and the immaterial realm expands and contracts like breath. It's like all the good ions bursting from molecules at a waterfall. It's up to us to remember to transport. The British mystic Rupert Spira offers this vision of turning ourselves inside out. He says, "Awareness is not a fleeting appearance in the permanent substratum of time and space. Rather, time and space are fleeting appearances within the ever-present substratum of timeless, spaceless awareness. The timeless, spaceless awareness can always be entered, but one doesn't set up a permanent residency. A free person is one who repeatedly opens the doors, finding choice again and again. From there comes right action." We close now with another quote from Spira, for he seems to have crossed the void and landed as well as a human being can on nothing. He says, "Once the mind is relieved of the certainty of knowing, it becomes silent, spontaneous, and free. It knows nothing, but can express anything. It has no fixed position, but can take any position relative to a given situation." Amen.